Hello and welcome to today's show, The Breakthrough Podcast. I am your host, Reba Bell. Hey, y'all. This is The Breakthrough Podcast, and I am your host, Reba Bell. We're going to jump right in today because, of course, we're going to talk about what happened yesterday, but I want to say that Financial Literacy Month is extended to next month because I had a couple of people that wanted to be on, still want to be on, so I got a couple of interviews I have to set up, one more that I'm doing, and then I'll be giving you some tips on how to budget, what's going on with the finances, and some tips on how to budget, where you can go, how to get your finances together and things like that, and with the interview. But we're going to stray away from that because I would not be remiss if I did not talk about what I coach about, which is domestic violence. And what we seen yesterday on the Oscars, if most people didn't watch it and don't know, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock for saying a comment about his wife. If you didn't watch it, go back and then you can come back and listen to this, or go watch it after this, whatever. Most people already know about it. So like I said, I will be bringing up this topic. We're going to take an intermission on the financial for right now. We'll be back to it next week. But I want to talk about first, not condoning violence. I do not condone violence. Of course, I'm an advocate for getting healing, and I'm an advocate against domestic violence. So we all know. What I want to talk about totally is, are you a Chris Rock or are you a Will Smith? And when I talk about that, and when I say that, it's because when we're stemming on the realm of healing, we're talking about, have you been healed from your past trauma, or what has happened to you, said about you, what was previously said, or on the other end, are you a bully? Are you a professional bully? Now, a lot of people don't agree or may not agree. I have different opinions and mixed opinions on things that happen, but I'm going to address totally from my point of view of what I see professionally, because this is what I deal with. Okay, so the scenario is, this is me, not facts, assuming, meaning I'm just taking facts from something that happened in the past, and I am giving my opinion on something that might have been the factor. As we know, or most people probably don't know, 2016, Jada Pinkett Smith, she ended up wanted to ban the Oscars, or whatever you want to call it, because her husband at the time wasn't nominated for an Oscar for a movie. Okay. And during that Oscar, and I knew about this too before yesterday or whatever, but during that Oscar speech or whatever, when Chris Rock got up there, he made comments about her, about, who cares? Pretty much that's what he's saying. Like, you wasn't invited anyway, who cares, and whatever. Going forward, we all know about the entanglement scandal with Jada Pinkett in August. If you don't know, go look it up. But I want to deal with and address all the tension, pain, anger that Will Smith could have, would have, or should have, or have been enduring up until this time. Now, yesterday, or I knew about it, but yesterday they brought up that the comment stemmed from Jada Pinkett having alopecia, and that's a thing where I have alopecia, so I know. And I talked about it on my girlfriend's live last week. Delphinita Warren, shout out to her. Restore Hair 316. Go look her up. She restored hair, from losing hair or whatever. But when I had alopecia or whatever, your hair do fall out, and it fall out in clumps or whatever. And different people, what happened to me, I always have a bald spot in the back of my head. But to defer away from that, make a long story short, she's battling alopecia right now. And so, but his comments stem from is her losing her hair or shaving her hair off and making a choice to be bald. And make a long story short, we have to acknowledge and address that first. Yes, Will Smith could have handled it in a different way. Violence is not the answer. But we also have to address what stemmed from, happened to, up into that time, and some of the factors that I told you about. Sometimes people get fed up. And because I don't condone violence, yes, it wasn't the right time. I'm talking about the healing part of it. Will may or have, we don't know, been in therapy, need to get healing. Him and his wife, if you want to say. And a lot of things I want to say too is just because people are in the limelight and they're professional and it's the Oscars and all that great stuff, people are still human. I want to still stress that point, because we put famous people, entertainers, people, oh my God, I'm so disappointed, in the limelight, and they're not God. They're human. Okay? We need to stop. We need to stop doing that. But like I said, go back to the healing part. He may need some healing, because from smacking someone on national TV, whether it was public, private, whatever, because I really don't care if it was private or public, it still happened. Let's just address that. Doing it, whether it's private or public, still was wrong. And it still needs to be addressed that some healing on both ends needs to take place. Maybe that was something that in the past he could have went to Chris Rock and talked about the respect, about what he said, keep my wife's name out your bleeping mouth. Maybe in the past he could have addressed it. Or maybe in the past he could have just said, he's a professional, let bygones be bygones, take it and rub it off your back. Let's look at it on the other end though. Maybe he wasn't getting the healing that he needed, and he need to address it, and that was a spark. We all have triggers, and shout out to Cindy. Adverse childhood trauma. She is an expert in this more than I am. I am learning. I'm an expert in domestic violence. She's an expert in adverse childhood traumas. And she did a live. So check out Cindy, Aces Matter Live. Her thing on Instagram. She spoke on it today. We need to be careful when we don't know people's situation, history, or stories. We don't know those eggshells. We don't know what's the breaking point for certain people. So we have to be careful. Whether we're doing something for a profession, a limelight, or a piece of money because he's a comedian, what I call it, a professional bully. That's what I call it. Because a lot of people say, you know, that's Chris Rock. That's what he does. Some things I feel like should be off limits in the entertainment world. If we can't talk about transgenders, we can't talk about gays, lesbians, the LGBTQ community, we should not be able to talk about heterosexuals and their personal experiences, their personal endeavors on a stage, just same way. It can't go one way and not go another way. It should be a boundary and a line that should be drawn and crossed. I talk about boundaries a lot in my coaching and my healing because we don't know boundaries and we don't know lines that's crossed. And just because he was getting $1, oh, it was a comedian. It doesn't matter. Why is it okay, like I said, for the LGBTQ community to get offended by something we say? And not why it's not okay. And they could put a public statement out and we stop everything. We cancel everything. We go on social media, post everything. It wasn't right. But Why can't we protect someone's personal emotions and business and then take it as that wasn't right? Why can't we take it as, even though the violence is not condoned, it wasn't the right time to do it? But at the same time, like I said, even if it was in private, will we condone it? Will we say, oh, because we heard about it, or somebody videotaped it and he checked him then? Would it have been right to slap him then? No. The same way it's not right for Chris Rock, as a comedian, a professional bully, to get up there and talk about people's personal lives and make a joke about it. With everything that Will and Jada have been through in the last 2 years since the scandal, them putting their business out there. And yes, Will and Jada has some, I won't say faults, but have some responsibility in putting their business out there. But they made that choice. So when you say make that choice, oh, if they make that choice, then they can make the choice to get the backlash. Not really. Not on something that is so personal and emotional. What if we don't know she has cancer? What if she has a terminal cancer? If Jada Pinkett died and said this never was said or whatever, we would all be like, oh, Will never told us what he was dealing with. He's such a strong man. Da 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 da. We'll be taking another light, because I found that when people die or something detrimental happens to someone, we want to have a heart. But when it's something like slapping somebody for offending us, not respecting us, whether it was on the Oscars, we want to defend and criticize and put people on pedestals. Again, I do not condone violence. We'll need to deal with it in a healthy way. Even after this, he needs the healing that he needs. He needs to go to speak to someone. He needs therapy. Jada does too. No, I don't believe that people should have hard shoulders, because we know, I even teach, and I say hard shoulders, I mean like let words cross off your back because he's a comedian. I even teach in my coaching too. Words hurt more than physical. And so sometimes the physical abuse that we endure may be roll off our shoulders, but the words stay mentally with us. And with everything that I have been watching personally, them two enduring in the limelight for the last 2 years, I understood it. I feel sorry for both of them. But let's talk on Chris Rock part. Are you a Chris Rock? And you may not be in a professional limelight, but what I'm saying is, are you a person that feels like you have the right to say something about someone, the right to bully someone? We teach our kids all the time to go to school and not be bullies, not to deal with bullies. I'm actually addressing right now my son dealing with how to not deal with bullies. He's not getting bullied, but he doesn't know how to speak up for himself and take up for himself. So that's something personally I'm dealing with. But we're teaching our kids every day not how to deal with bullies. But they get adults, and these are same bullies. Yeah, you make a profession out of it. Maybe you was bullied. Maybe Chris Rock was bullied. Maybe someone did tell him, like I said, Will Smith could have talked to him at another time, 2016 when this happened, all the way up into 2022, before then, in the middle of this, whatever. And they could have had to sit down as men. And let's not just keep on putting it on the black community, because I can't stand that. It happens, period. Okay? Violence is not condoned in any community. It doesn't matter. But bullying professionally shouldn't be condoned either. There should be a boundary, no matter what the color of skin, race, so whatever it is. I also want to address, like I said, with Chris Rock, he gets the highest, like, congratulations because you're a comedian. So you're allowed to disrespect people. So back to what I was saying, guys. Are you a Will Smith or you're a Chris Rock? And And not saying that you're on Chris Rock's side. I'm not saying that you're on Will Smith's side. What I'm saying is your personality a bully, a professional bully? Are you when you get into arguments with family members, friends, are you bringing up things that you know that's personal? Or are you not dealing with your issues and not understanding that people are people and that you can address anyone in a violent manner? We don't condone violence, but we don't condone bullying neither, because both of them, if people don't know, is a form of abuse. It's domestic violence in itself. Domestic violence is not just physical. It's mental. It's emotional. Of course, I'll talk about this one. It's financial. It's so when you're talking about it on a broader scale, we're not saying, oh, Chris Rock does this to him continuously. It could be one time. Or maybe this stems to help Chris Rock say, okay, if it's a personal matter that I know nothing about, because it seemed like in this matter, Chris Rock didn't know technically what was going on emotionally, physically with Jada Pinkett, but I think it woke him up to understand you cannot talk about personal matters. You never know what the situation is. I think this also woke Will up to say, yes, I'm defending myself, but it's the right time. Was it the right time? Was it the right space? What is the right energy? Can I defend myself in another manner? And I think another part I want to talk about is when you're healing and you're going through a process, you need those mentors around you. You can't be the only person saying, I'm healing, but you still have those weak moments. You still have triggers, because we all got triggers. We all have trauma from our past. We all have, and we're not talking about just childhood. We're talking about from 2016, okay? Trauma from our past that we have to deal with. And if we're not dealing with the trauma and the issues from our past, things like this happen in the limelight just as well as it happened in our homes. How many times you probably seen somebody got in a fight because somebody said something, if they was on the street? Or if you didn't, you heard about it. I grew up with it, so I understand it. But at the same time, that's the reason why we are here. I am here to address and stop it. What are we teaching our children? And I know Will Smith have adult children, but at the same time, I'm sure they all talked about it after this. I think more things is going to come in after this. I think this is going to bring awareness on a lot of other issues that, entertainers, famous people don't talk about. That there need to be boundaries in the entertainment industry just as well as in personal matters, okay? If we're putting up our boundaries in our own personal family member and friends, they need to put up their boundaries in the entertainment industry. If we're putting up boundaries with the LGBTQ community, there needs to be boundaries with heterosexuals and whatever personal issues going on. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're gay or you're not gay. Personal matters and personal issues are not to be discussed on a platform for a laugh. That's why I call it professional bullying. Because I'm getting $1 for people to make a joke, for people to laugh at you at your personal emotional expense. Think about it, guys. I just wanted to address this today because I feel like we need to talk about what the underlying issues of trauma, abuse, any kind of emotional, mental, or physical is. Let's just state the facts. Let's not keep on looking at it as surface. Oh, he was wrong. Oh, he was wrong. If we want to state who was wrong and who was right, in this definition, neither one of them was. But I understand the reaction. That's what I do. I understand the reaction. I do not condone the violence. If we all took a flashlight on our lives, on our personal lives, we need to really ask ourselves, are we Will Smith or are we Chris Rock? Or can we be both sometimes in our own personal matters? I have had experiences where I was Chris Rock. And I'm talking about in a manner of, if my feelings got hurt in this situation, his feelings did get hurt. He just did it for professionalism. But I have been a mouth bully where I want to dig deep. I've done it with my husband. I've done it with friends. I've done it with family. I cut you where it hurts. And intentionally, I did it. I know personally that Chris Rock wasn't doing it. But still, we need to be aware of what we say. And I think this probably wrote Chris Rock up like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't. On the other end, I have been Will Smith. I have been the violent one to lash out. In the past and didn't like something that someone said. And I was a violent person. I was a very angry young lady growing up. And that's because I held in a lot of stuff from my childhood. We'll talk about that another time. But through the years of me getting healing, therapy, having personal mentors, therapists, counselors, ministers, whatever you want to call it, in my corner to help me. I'm glad that Will Smith did have people in his corner to make him realize. This podcast is brought to you by From Ashes to Beauty Coaching. Go to RebaBell.com to sign up for your free consultation today. Do we need to realize and wake up to understand that we need healing? We need some kind of help. We need some kind of therapy. Do we need to realize and understand and wake up? In today's society, people are hurting. We just went through a pandemic for a good 2 years, even our children. Do we need to realize and understand that we cannot make light or jokes on someone else's expense? Do we need to realize and understand that we have to put ourselves in other people's shoes? So I leave you today with asking the question again. Are you Chris Rock or are you a Will Smith? And how are you going to have your breakthrough to change your life today? Thanks for listening in on today's show. You can find me online at RebaBell.com to order any of my products or my books, or you can find me at Instagram at BreakthroughCoach_Reba Arve. Thank you again and see you next week.